The open field pairings have changed drastically in the last few months. So it's about time for us to fire this thing up again. We are going to do the best murder ball situation for you, your sets, your combos, what you're doing in the open field. Get the KP for you. We're going to tell you what works best, and we're going to tailor it to whatever you might have. So stick around as we go through all this right here. Everybody, I'm Chadsky. I'm your boy, and I do videos all the time, videos and streams, and absolutely love the feedback we've been getting from everybody. As you know, I love the game, and I love to give you real rock life application. I love to help everybody be better players, and it is a wonderful, wonderful privilege to be able to do that. So if you enjoy any videos that I do, be sure to throw a like on here and consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, and be a part of our community. And speaking of that community, my Discord link is in the description. That's where so many conversations come from. We're well over 5,000 members in my Discord. It is a fun atmosphere and environment to go in. It doesn't matter if you're a new player or an old player. We do the cutting edge stuff, and then we also answer questions and help players who are trying to develop their accounts. And so with that, one of the biggest questions I get all the time, every day I wake up to it, is, hey, I have these commanders. What do I pair? Hey, I have those commanders. What do I pair? Hey, I've got this commander and that commander, or I've got this commander 5551 and then these commanders. What do I pair? Okay, and it all depends on how you roll your marches out there and how your account is tailored. Okay, so I am going to put out this video, and we're going to go through the best 5 marches, the best combinations of 5 marches, whether it's 2 cavs, 2 infantry, 1 archer, 3 cavs, 1 infantry, 1 archer, 2 cavs, 3 infantry. Whatever the combination is going to be, I'm going to go through it with you right now. The beauty with fielding in this game right now is that when you look at it overall, there's no best right answer. Okay, there's no way to look at this and say, hey, these are your slam dunk top 5 marches. You got to tailor your gear and accessories. You got to tailor your armaments for them, and you got to go. The beauty with the game is that with the release of Ragnar, with the release of Philip, with the release of Arthur, a kind of a 2 different kind of commanders Arthur is with his active skill. He's a skill damage commander as a secondary. He's a combo commander as a primary. And with the release now of Bai Chi, this guy is off the charts. And when I say off the charts, he is crazy good in the field. We did the testing. You can refer back to the videos that I had before of what this guy does for your murder ball. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. His damage is incredible. These malice stacks originally appeared to be, well, we'll see how they work. They're incredible. They're absolute. The damage output that you do when you rack up the malice stacks and you start laying those damage factors out every other second is just absolutely insane. He's got obviously good tankiness when he starts getting lower, but at the same time, now that he's out, let's look at this. Let's look at how you need to set up, because we got to be reasonable for everybody. Doesn't matter what kind of marches you're running. Doesn't matter how you're running them. Okay, so we're going to go with a 5 march setup first, and let's just talk about these. Okay, we'll make this really, really simple for everybody. Let me pull this up. The first thing we're going to do is right off the rip, probably the most common way people run their marches is a 2 cavalry, 2 infantry, 1 archer setup. Okay, and that's mainly by game design right now. The archers aren't we don't have a plethora of archer commanders to where we can go easily run 2 and 3 marches for archers. So this is kind of how we set this up, and this is what we found. Okay, if you run 2 cavalry, 2 infantry, 1 archer, you're going to run Huo Joan. Okay, you're going to move your Arthur to more of a combo commander. Everybody's been working on Delta, and then you've got Philip freed up. You can put Philip behind Arthur. Insane march. These 2 cav marches are absolutely broken. They're really, really good. Okay, now with BQ in the game, you compare him easily. The 2 best infantry marches in the game, BQLC. So it's Bai Chi and Luce with Ragnar and Scipio. Okay, those are the best marches you're going to get for infantry. So that's just a slam dunk, easy way to do it. And then you've still got Zhuge Herman, who's providing a lot of damage as well. Now, Herman is getting less and less valuable because his poison stacks Okay, if we come over here to Herman, everybody knows all about Herman's poison stacks. And when you look at him overall, where's he at? He's always kind of hard to find in here. He's down here a ways all the time. There he is. When he runs up these poison stacks, you take more skill damage. Okay, and when you take more skill damage, it works out well for all your other marches. They benefit for that. The only problem is when you're in this setup right now, or when you start running Arthur primary, you start running BQ, you've only got 3 marches doing skill damage. You got Huo Joan, Ragnar CPO, and Zuge Herman. Now, I still think that's valuable, but overall, he is trending downwards as far as the value he brings. When you're not running 5 skill damage marches, you're running now 3 of them, and you got to kind of figure that out. So that's an easy way to run 5 marches. It's probably the most potent way you can run 5 marches. It gets all the best commanders on the field. The best commanders in the game right now are BQ and Luce, Arthur and Philip, and then Ragnar, Huo are right there as well, and that's probably the best way to run that. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Now, this is a smite. If you say, hey, I run 2 cavs, 2 infantry with smite, it's easy to substitute Philip for William the Conqueror and put him behind Arthur. That combination is amazing. And then you can bring Wallace off the bench. You run BQ with Wallace, and then you run Luce as a second smite infantry march with Philip behind. A lot of players are starting to do that. If you don't have Ragnar, okay, if you don't have Ragnar anywhere close to being maxed, this is the combination you need to consider running. Okay, and another way to do this is if you don't have William Wallace here, you can put Philip behind BQ, and then you can run Luce Alex. So there's a couple different ways that you can do that, but Ragnar's the key to skill damage infantry. If you don't have Ragnar, it's not worth running Juan CPO. Not when all these other commanders are out. Okay, so that's kind of a 2-march setup when it comes to a 2-2-1 situation. It's a 2-march smite setup when you have 2 cavalry, 2 infantry, and 2 archers, and 1 archer. So let's look at the next kind of situation that we run into. This is option 3. This is a 2 cavalry, 1 infantry, 2 archers. Okay, the reason why William the Conqueror is so good and valuable is because it frees Philip up. Okay, when you have Huo Joan and you run Arthur William, then you only have 1 infantry combination. The best infantry combination, and perhaps the best combination in the entire game, is BQ with LC. Okay, run that and forget it. Then you run Ash with Herman behind. That's probably the most common one. Now you can put other commanders in here. You can put Nebu, you can put YSG, you can even run Shajar if you want to, but this is what I found to be the most common amongst the best archer players in the game. And then ZL Philip. ZL Philip is incredible. Like, the ZL Philip march is, in my opinion, the best archer march you can run. Okay, Arthur Philip, in my opinion, is one of the best, or it rivals one of the best cavalry marches you can run. Okay, and then when you've got Luce Philip, that's one of the best infantry marches you can run. Philip is so valuable and versatile. We said this when he came out, and I predicted he would be the most important, maybe not the highest power commander, maybe not the most DPS or damage output commander, but the most important commander in the game. That's why I put him up so high, is that everybody's got to get him maxed, because he's going to transcend. He's not only great for versatility now, he's going to have roles in this game 2 and 3 years from now. I promise you. And so that's what you're looking at with a 2-1-2 setup, 2 cavalry, 1 infantry, 1 archer. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, many infantry players like this. I run this with 5 marches on my main. Okay, with 5 marches, or I say on my main. No, I don't. I run this with 5 marches on my restart. I didn't mean my main. I'm a cavalry guy. But on my restart account, or my alt account, or I call it my Rise of Chadsky account, this is what I love to run. Absolutely love to run this. The best cavalry march you could probably put out there is a Huo Arthur. You know, Arthur Philip and Arthur William are really, really good, but Huo Arthur just does so much damage. Then you run Ragnar CPO. You're running 1 skill damage infantry. Then you run your 2 smite infantry marches combination, and that's what you want to do. LC with Philip, BQ with William Wallace, and then you've got your Zuge Herman. It's a great setup. Like, listen, I know archer players, you hate this, okay? And me as a Cav guy, it's not enjoyable on my main when you look up and you see so many big time commanders for infantry. Infantry is dominating. It is as valuable as cavalry in the field right now. It is wild how that works out in May 2025. So that's kind of what you're looking at. That's a very common setup for a lot of players, especially a lot of young players who have got a lot of infantry commanders. So that's how that thing works with a 1-3-1 situation. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is what I more run on my main. On my main, when I run into a zone 5 and they've earmarked me to be a rally commander, then I can't get 6 marches in zone 5. I have to push my rally cap because we're going to rally forts and we're going to do all that stuff like crazy. And so with that being said, I run 3 cabs. Now, this is very unique sometimes, okay? I know it looks crazy. People are like, Attila, what are you doing? Huo with Joan, so you're running 1 skill damage commander. Then you've got Arthur with William, so you're running 1 combo commander, okay, that runs Delta on his armaments. Then you've got Attila Philip. And I'm just telling you, if you've never used Attila Philip, if you have anything Arch for cavalry, if you have maybe a couple of rare inscriptions you can convert over to Arch, if you got really good Arch armaments, or if you're a rally commander that's got a lot of great Arch stuff, Attila Philip you got to look at. It does so much damage, okay? It is so consistent. It trades at an exceptional clip. If it gets focused, you're fine. If it doesn't get focused, you're just damage output. It's wild how that march works. That's how I run it. Okay, and I've got set up 3 special inscriptions in all 3 of these marches, and it works out really well. Okay, but don't freak out. That's not my only recommendation. I'll get to the other one soon. But then from there, BQ and Luce, great. Zuge and Herman, then you're rounding out your 3-1-1 Cav situation. However, a lot of Cav players have more of this. This is option 6. This is a 5 march with 2 skill damage cavalry. That's a 3-1-1 setup with 3 cavalry, but 2 of them are skill damage, okay? Huo Joan, great, set it and forget it. And then you can run, depending on what you want, you can run your Nevsky Belly or Nevsky William, okay, depending on what you have and what you want. I prefer Nevsky Belly. I like Belly more. I think Belly does more for all my marches, and it's great. But a lot of people still run like a Nevsky William. And then you can, if you have William, you can kind of switch those out. You can run a Nevsky Joan if you want to, and then you can put William behind Huo. So however you want to run those marches is up to you. You know, sometimes I like, if I'm running Belly, I like to put Nevsky behind Huo, or I'll put like William behind Huo, and then I'll run Joan with Belly and leave Nevsky at home. So there's all kinds of different ways you can do that. But from there, you're going to stick with the Delta on the 3rd cavalry march with Arthur and Philip, and then the easy plug and play BQ with Luce, and then Zuge Herman, okay? We go on here to option 7. Now, this is with a 1-2-2 setup, okay? If you have 1 cavalry march, Huo Arthur, great. And then you get into Ragnar with CPO and BQ with Luce, the best 2 infantry marches that you can get. And then, in my opinion, the best 2 archer marches that you can get as well. That allows you to move Philip over to ZL. Okay, and so those are all your. I believe that's it for five marches, and it gives you all the different options. And listen, it's not. I mean, it's all completely up to you what you like. It's completely up to you on what commanders you have. That's what I'm just telling you, to give you those combos that's going to give you max efficiency in the field. And so this guy is so versatile. I love him with ZL. I love him in a lot of different areas. And so from there, you're going to have these commanders that have different aspects. Okay, so now that we get into our 6 march setup, let's go into that and we'll take a look at it with our 6 marches. Okay, option 1, easy, 2-2-2, right? A lot of players run 2-2-2 to stay diverse. Well, that's easy. You run you're able to take Philip, and you're going to earmark Philip for archers, okay? Then you run Huo with Joan. You run Arthur with William. 2 great marches. Then you run the best 2 infantry combinations you can find. Then you run the best 2 archer combinations, in my opinion, by moving Philip over to ZL. Like if Philip was a huge upgrade from William the Conqueror behind Arthur, I would put Philip over there with cavalry. But he's not. William does a great job and is almost as good as that Arthur Philip march. However, if you got to bring a 4th archer commander in this 2 march setup for archers without Philip, it's going to be like a Washi. It's going to be a Nebu. It's going to be a Shajar. And Philip far upgrades from any situation you get into with 4 archers. That's just the way it is right now. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is a 3-2-1 situation. This is very, very common. As you know, it's the same 3 cavalry combinations that I like to run. Okay, and then you have the 2 infantry, and then you have the 1 archer. That's what I love to do. Okay, and we talked about Attila with Philip. That's what I absolutely love to do. But don't panic. Okay, not everybody runs Attila in the field. So here's my next setup. This is with the 2 skill damage. We go back to the setup by having Nevsky with Belly or Nevsky with William. And then so you have 2 skill damage cavalry commanders, or 2 skill damage cavalry marches with Arthur and Philip. And then you've got your 2 infantry marches that are busted good with BQ and Luce and Ragnar and Skippy. And then you've got your ZL Herman. Okay, so that's kind of a 6-march setup of 3 cav, 2 infantry, 1 archer, with 2 of those 3 cavs are skill damage. That's how you want to run that, okay? We go on to the next one. This is a 2-3-1 setup. It's 2 cavalry, 3 infantry, 1 archer. Okay, the 3 infantry is very common, like we talked about in the 5-march setup. Okay, you run your Huo with Joan, you run your Arthur with William to free up Philip. And then what you can do in this situation is run your BQ with William Wallace, your Ragnar Skippy, and then you put your Luce with Philip, and then your ZL Herman. Awesome setup. Great way to go. You've got 2 smite marches going on your infantry. That's the best way to do it. If you're going to run 3 infantry marches, no matter what, 5, 6, or 7 march murder ball, if you're going to run 3 infantry marches, you got to run 2 smite marches. You just have to. There's no other way to do that. Okay, and so let's go to the option number 5. This is a 3 cavalry, 1 infantry, 2 archers. People who, I guess, hate infantry. Okay, we'll keep that easy. This is a setup here to where we have to use Philip now with 2 archers over here with ZL. And since we have to do that, there is no option for Attila, because Attila would have to be with Philip. However, you do see the 2 skill damage combination setup on the cavalry. So you got Huo Joan, then you've got your pick between Nevsky, Belly, and Nevsky and William, and you can run that however you want, but you probably take this William out because you're going to run William behind Arthur. So you're able to run Belly with Nevsky, and then you can set that combination up with Huo and Joan however you want. You could run Huo Nevsky and then Joan Belly. You could run Huo with Belly and then Joan or Nevsky Joan. So however you want to run that, and then your 2 archers. The best you can get, obviously, ZL Philip and then Ash Herman. That's in my opinion. Like I said, it's what the best archer players in the game run, and what they stamp as the certified best thing to do. And so that's how you're going to set that up. It's a little bit wonky, and not a lot of people have 1 infantry and 2 archers. Okay, but a few do. And the 1 infantry you're going to have is BQ with Luce, obviously one of the best, if not the best, march in the game. So now we're going to set up a 1-3-2 situation that's really common. Now, it's not common for people to just have 1 cavalry. A lot of people have a lot more than just 1. But if you do, you can easily just put Huo with Arthur. Great. Ragnar Skippy and Luce. This is now where Alex comes into play. Okay, because you want to be the best with your archers. And what I'm trying to say is that Alex is a good pairing still to this day with Luce. And you're not losing a whole lot as far as overall value of running Alex instead of Philip, because we have to use Philip for our archers. That gives us the best and most efficient way to run these things. So you run the Luce with Alex, you run the BQ with Wallace, then you run Zuge with Philip, and then, of course, your Ash Herman situation, okay? So very unique, but now you're starting to see where Alex is coming in, okay? Now we're going to go to 7 marches, all right? When we go to 7 marches, this is what everybody has to understand. It is a lot of healing. It's a lot of hospital filling. You're doing so many different things when it comes to 7 marches, but you have to be a big time asset for your team. Even if you're a mid spender, you can get to 7 marches. That's not a problem. So there's all kinds of ways to kind of look at this overall from a commander setup. You got to have a lot of commanders, you got to have a lot of gear, you got to have a lot of armaments. But those who either spend or kind of a mid spend, or you've been in the game a long time, you've got an older account with all the different bells and whistles, then this is how you need to run it. Okay, 7 marches get you the most KP. So when you run those 7 marches, it's a real finicky way to do it because you want to be as efficient as possible. And I'm going to go through here on all the different options for 7 marches, okay? We're going to go right in here. 3-2-2 situation with 2 skill damage commanders for cavalry. Really pretty simple, okay? I would bring, because I'm going to run William with Arthur, I would bring Nevsky and Belly. Again, you can run the Huo, Joan, Nevsky, Belly however you want. Then you've got your 2 infantry commanders. Those are the best 2 you can get. And then you keep your Philip over here with Zugay and run Philip, Zugay, or Zugay with Philip, and then Ash Herman. Great 7 march setup. A lot of people like that a lot. Okay, let's go to the next one. 7 march setup, 2 cavalry, 3 infantry, 2 archers. Okay, this is an interesting situation that you get into sometimes because you've got 2 cavalry. You want to free up your Philip to be able to run that with Zugay. Okay, so Philip stays with Zugay, but if you look over here on your cavalry, you're going to run Huo Joan. Okay, Arthur with William, and then you run your 2 smite marches with your 3 infantry setup. So you got Ragnar Skippy, you got BQ with Wallace, and there he is again. You get Alex pulling in with Luce, so you can put your Philip behind ZL. It's great, and that's the best way to do it for the archers, to run a 2-3-2 situation. Okay, this is what I run on my Rise of Chadsky account, my second account, when I go to 7 marches, and it's really, really good. Okay, so let's go to a 2-2-3 situation. Okay, there she is. There she is, and it's debatable. We'll get to that in a second. You run the Huo Joan, you run the Arthur with William, you run the BQ with Luce, you run the Ragnar with Scipio. That's a 4 march set and forget if you're running 2 and 2 with cavalry and infantry. And then on your archers, you gotta have Philip. So you run ZL Philip. You could run Herman with YSG and Shajar with Ash. Now, you can switch this however you want. I'm not here to argue what's best on the archer stuff, but when you start running 3 archers, okay, you can bring in Nebu. Okay, you can do different things with your archers. You can bring in Shajar, however you want to run that. This is what I found to be kind of the most common thing if you're going to run 3 archer marches. So it's rare, because archers just don't provide you enough. I mean, we're bringing in Shajar, who's not great, and you're bringing in YSG, who's an older commander. You're bringing those into the field when you have to run 3 archers. But some players have 3 archer setups, and that's what they do. So that's your 2-2-3 situation with 2 cavs, 2 infantry, 3 archers. All right, let's go to the next one. Option 5, 3 cavalry, 3 infantry, 1 archer. Okay, this is what I run on my main. All right, on my main, I run 3 cavalry, 3 infantry, 1 archers when I get to 7 marches. Now, I have a second archer set. Okay, I've got that just chilling. I've got my second archer set chilling over here. I haven't even put iconic crystals on it, on all of them, because I don't use it. And I won't use it until archers give us more commanders. They got to give us something crazy in the field, and maybe another rally commander, because archers are coming up. They're coming up in late July. So if they do, then they're going to give us a wheel commander that's going to be field, and he's probably going to be crazy, or she. And they're going to give us a rally commander that's probably going to be a little bit like Ash that you can use in the field. That's the one benefit of Ash, is that you can use him in the field, okay? But this is what I like to run. I set that second archer gear aside. I don't even run that. And I run 3, and 1. This is exactly how I run it right here. That's exactly how I do it. Okay. And so we talked about the combination with Attila. Some people don't have that, and they don't have arch stuff for cavalry, but that's how I like to do it. That's how I like to run it. You bring Alex into the mix. I love running Luce with Alex and BQ with Wallace and Ragnar Skippy. That's what I like to run for my infantry. That way it frees up my Philip to run behind Attila Philip. If you guys shaking your head about that, just try it. Just try it and see what it does. It's crazy good in the field, okay? So you do this with 2 skill damage commanders. Now, all of a sudden, you bring in Nevsky with Belly, and then more than likely, you're going to move Philip back over here with Luce. That's probably what you're going to do. I have Luce, Alex, but that can be a Philip as well, okay? And so from that standpoint, that's what I would do, or I would run the Luce with Alex and put Philip behind Zugay and take Herman off the field. I don't necessarily think we need to do that, but that's how essentially I would set that up. Okay, and so when you look at this overall, that's your 6. Option 6 is 2 skill damage cavalry commanders, 3 infantry, 1 archer. Okay, and you'll put Philip in there somewhere. Okay, Now, here's the 3-1-3 situation with 3 cavalry, 1 infantry, 3 archers. Okay, there's your 3 cavalry. You're going to run 2 smite cavalry, 2 skill damage cavalry, and you're going to run that with Arthur with William. We're seeing how William is used all the time in this. And then the 1 infantry march, BQ Luce, that's what you want to run. And then you've got Zuge with Philip. You have to run Philip archers if you're running 3 archers. And then Herman YSG, Shajar with Ash. But you can switch that up. You can bring in Nebu. You can do whatever you want with the archers, but that's going to give you kind of the most common and best 3 archer setup. Okay. Lastly, this is what I call Cav Psycho. This is a 7 march option. Cavalry players are finicky bunch. Okay. A lot of cavalry players, especially late in the game, will have 4 cavalry setup. Okay. It is a finicky situation. And I call it a psycho situation because they'll go run these things all over the field and chase KP and just be a menace to the enemy. But this is a 4 cav, 2 infantry, 1 archer setup. If you're going to run 4 cavalry, you got the commanders to do it. You can do it. Okay, you just got to have the gear and everything else. You run 2 skill damage marches with Huo and Joan. You run Nevsky with Belly. Okay, then you run Arthur with William, and then you pull over Philip and run Attila Philip. And so that gives you a good variety under cavalry. They're all fast. They all do a ton of damage, crazy stuff. And so with that being said, that's a way you can do it. I have run this before. It is a KP machine, and it lets you maximize the best 2 infantry marches and the best archer march you can get. Okay. And so I know it sounds weird. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm running Nevsky. I don't know how that's going to trade with these other cav marches, but they got to pick to hit something. If you're fighting somebody and they're not dot mode and they can actually see your marches, what are they going to hit first? Are they going to hit Huo? That's probably who I would hit first. Or they're going to hit Zuge. Because whatever they hit, they are going to... This is max DPS. This is max damage. You can't get any more damage than this when it comes to laying down AoE and single target damage on the target. You can't get any more DPS than this. And so this is why it's kind of a psycho build, I call it, because you're going to do so much freaking damage and you have enough march speed. Your Zuge is always going to lag behind and get killed. Okay, you give it to him. But if you can get enough march speed on your infantry, this is such a fast murder ball setup that you've got, and you will do a crazy amount of damage. So that kind of sums it up for all of us. When we're looking at this, we love the commanders that we've got, just like we said, and we love doing what we're doing. But at the same time, you want to make sure and set those marches up for it the best you can. Leave a comment down below. I'm going to set these up in my Discord. Again, join my Discord, and I'll make sure and put these guides out and put all the thumbnails out on exactly what are best for different situations, and you can talk about them. I love the feedback. If I got something wrong or if you like something different, great. Come tell us what you like to run and what might be better. And so with that being said, we hope everybody has a wonderful day and enjoys this May 2025 best open field setup, your murder ball setup. And you guys have a great day, broskies.